In this video, I will show you this physics-based game demo I made and play around it with all the awesome things you can do in a physics-based game. Later, I'll show you how I made this in only 5 hours. Stay tuned and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for some more cool content like this. Now let's get right into it. So this demo was created in about 5 hours one day. I was just kind of bored and really liked playing around with physics-based demos. This was a lot of the inspiration was coming from Donnie's, if that's how you say his name, physics-based game, which was Off the Sticks, I think. And I watched a lot of his devlogs and liked it, so I wanted to make something in 3D just for fun, not as a full project. I think it turned out pretty well. And the thing's not perfect right now, but it's a lot of fun. You can play around with it a whole lot. I'll leave like an online web demo of it on like itch.io or something for you guys. It's fun. You can do a lot of things, and it's physics, so it's very unique. So like, bam. I don't know. It's so much fun to watch. I could probably do this all day. Okay, so how I made this. I just started by using a character that I modeled a long time ago. So I guess I didn't make it in 5 hours technically, but it's just a really bad Blender model. It's super basic. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, but here you go. Made him in Blender like about a year ago, so here he is. And I rigged him and just add some pretty crappy animations. But the way this works is you take a static animator, and if you give him I'll give him a real material here. Bam. So when you do this, this will show you what the animation's supposed to be without the physics-based components added. And like you can see, it's a lot more smooth and rigid, something that doesn't look that natural. So basically, the way this works is that I use a bunch of configurable joints and rigid bodies with a whole lot of colliders on each one of these rigged bones, virtual bones. And they all have a joint, so look at the leg right here. So basically I set these axes to a certain position where it rotated the right way that a normal human's joint would. And from there, I used my script that I found and I adapted it a little bit. And you really just have to play around with these values a lot. The main ones is the angular X and YZ drives, and and just the forces right here. And by doing so, I can target the legs and the bones of this static animation up here. And therefore, it's trying to match that static animation, but it can't do it perfectly because of all the physics. And that's what makes it try to move like a human, but look pretty funny. So that's what makes it so much fun. So here's a deeper outline of the steps you want to take towards making your own active ragdoll in Unity. So first thing that you want to do is you actually want to duplicate both of your imported players. Bam. And on one of them, rename it the ragdoll, if you want, something like that, and get rid of that animator. You won't need it on this one. I'm just going to break the prefab instance right here. And then you can put it nested under one big game object that's called player. Oh, jeez. And I'm gonna make this pretty simple because the biggest part of making an active ragdoll, it's all about take your time, and you just have to play around with a lot of settings and eventually you'll get it right. there's really no specific process. Each model you create acts differently. So for your Ragdoll, for each component, you're going to want to add a capsule collider. You can use a box collider if you'd like to, but capsule colliders, they're more natural. So, and then you just want it to all fit in with the joint. So let's say you got your left leg right here, or no, let's do our left foot right here. Make that bump down its radius. Here, I'll do this for you. And then to change that axis, you're going to want down the z-axis, or, sorry, this axis, x-axis. And there you go. There's just a basic representation of what you do. And from there, once you have all of these colliders looking pretty natural, you're going to want to do, next what you'll do, add rigid body components to each one. And you can change around these settings after you get the Ragdoll working. So once you do that, add some configurable joints. You're probably not going to want one on your hips, your root node. So get rid of that. And each one of these, you're going to want to set the rigid body to the parent of this bone. So for the foot, you'll set it to the next one. In my case, it's the shin. The shin bone, in my case, I'll set it to the leg. Works like that. And that's for your connected body. And you just want to make sure all of these are on free. If you want to add constraints, it's possible, but it'll take a lot of time. Next, you're going to have your angular drive. This is what's going to power the targeting mechanism of each joint. So for each one, I'll just select all of these, make it go faster. Set your spring. Usually I'll do like around 1,000, but it can really vary, so make sure. And then about 25 for your damper something. It can range from 1 to 20. The spring can range from 10 to 1,000, so you really want to play around with this. And then after that, each one of your configurable joint game objects, you're also going to want the targeter, because this is how you target that static animation above. So here, I'll just drag on the script. And this is the biggest part. You have to get your static animation. Here, I'll just move this guy up like I did in the previous setting. And so this one's going to be statically controlled by your animation that you have created. So, and then for each one of these, you're going to want to set the static version of your Ragdoll bone. So the head, you set this head from here. The neck, bam. Use the neck from the static animation. And there you go. After that, set your torque force and torque damping to something similar to what you did for your configurable joint. And you'll be somewhat good to go. But there's a lot of changing to do. Like some bones you'll need to invert, and sometimes a bone will not rotate directly. So what you're going to want to do is change the axis that you have set on your configurable joint. So maybe you're going to want the axis to be 0, 1, 0. Sometimes you'll want it to be like this. It takes a lot of time, so be patient, and if you're struggling, just take a break and come back to it. It's a long process. I've done this about 2 or 3 times, so this time it took me a lot faster. But your first time, it might just, your whole day might just be getting this thing working. So that's basically all you have to do. So after a whole lot of tweaking, you're going to have something like this, hopefully. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but really, if you spend your time, you can do things like this. And then basically what I do is I have a basic player controller. I'll show you here in code. And it has basic movement, speed, and and so it just moves it, and it'll set the animator. Make sure that it sets the animator of your static animation. This one. So because basically what that'll do is it'll move your static animator joints, and then in turn move the ragdoll joints with the physics component added. And to hide your static animator, what I like to do, you can probably find a more performant way to do it. I just get rid of this material, set the materials there to 0 in the mesh renderer, and you're all good. One last tip I'm going to tell you, sometimes your animation is going to look really jerky. So what you can do, mess around with this fixed time step. Mine was at 0.02 and the animation looked awful. Set it to 0.01 and it's fantastic. I know, it's Unity for you, but very useful if you're having troubles. That's going to be about it. If any more questions, just put them in the comments. And thank you for watching this video.